Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to Injustice 2. Well, the time has come to make another one of these videos. We are once again going to be talking about a character that I think is definitely on the lower end of the tier list in Injustice 2. In fact, I currently think this is the worst character in the game. We are of course talking about Blue Beetle. It's kind of a shame because Blue Beetle is genuinely one of my favorite characters in this game. His gear looks awesome, his shaders are great, even his personality is good. He's not an asshole like a lot of the characters in the game. So I think Blue Beetle definitely has a lot going for him in terms of being a part of the Injustice cast. However, as of the current kind of meta of the game, he falls extremely low on the tier list. I think even lower than a character like Swamp Thing, who actually got a few decent buffs, I feel like. The only problem with Swamp Thing now is that he is very underused. No one kind of explored the character yet. But I think once someone kind of really puts a lot of time in, Swamp Thing is going to be a pretty decent character. However, we're not going to talk about Swamp Thing, we're going to talk about Blue Beetle. So let's get right into it, starting with the positives. Blue Beetle does have a few things going for him. First things first, he has decent zoning. Even though this is only a high projectile, is probably one of the faster projectiles in the game. It's definitely one of the few where you can have two on the screen at the same time. And this is more difficult to get in on than you think. Even if you kind of like delay it, you can go into the air. His air projectile, especially the EX, is an overhead, so that can catch people off guard. So his projectile is good. Other thing that's good about him is his kind of general game plan. Blue Beetle is kind of, I feel like, a harassment character. He's supposed to kind of constantly fly around, be really annoying and kind of very difficult to pin down, while slowly chipping away at the opponent's HP, and before they realize they are losing. Unfortunately, with the current meta, Blue Beetle has very few ways of successfully doing this. Other thing I do have to mention again is flight mechanics. Very good, he can stay in the air for super long and also zip around the screen. He also has some good normals. He has one of the best sweeps in the game, as well as this move, but we're gonna touch on this later. As well as his jumping 3, especially in blade mode. And a couple of others like, what else? This is also decent, this string. Alright, however, those positives are very few compared to all the negatives this character suffers. And again, I say this as a Blue Beetle player and a huge fan of this character. He is one of my mains, for sure. Alright, what are the negatives? First things first, he does incredibly low damage. His combo potential is very, very low, especially for a character that relies on being up close. This is not even a character like Poison Ivy, where you could kind of excuse Poison Ivy for dealing low damage because she's more of a zoner. This character is supposed to be about being in your face, and this is one of his basic BMBs. 327. That is not amazing, for one bar especially. Especially when you have characters like this one, like Black Adam, who can easily do up to 400 or 400 above with the same kind of one bar combo. He also can do this off his overhead, which is actually one of his few mix-ups. This character doesn't really have a low string. And what I'm showing here, or I'm attempting to show, is his other BMB, where we're getting to problem number 2. And that is his optimal combos. What you saw there was the optimal combo for him, are very tricky to pull off. Like, surprisingly difficult. Of course you can get muscle memory for anything, but you know, when you factor in all the things that come with online, there's gonna be a little bit of lag always. Again, this character is like surprisingly difficult execution wise, which really, when you think about the results you get, it's definitely not like a big deal, or it shouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm especially talking about the combo off of this. He has this move, which is a launcher. It's not amazing as an anti-air, even though it technically could be used as one. Now this move would be decent because it's actually one of the few special moves that Blue Beetle can get a bounce cancel off of. As you probably saw as I was doing my combos, none of what he does can be linked into a back 3 or a forward 3. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Which is weird because I'm pretty sure every character can combo their forward 3 and back 3. Maybe again with the exception of Swamp Thing, but I think even Swamp Thing can do it now. Blue Beetle cannot. The only way he can do it is if you spend 2 meters and get the bounce cancel, but again, you're spending 2 meters for 414 damage, where many other characters can get that just normally. So back to what I was talking about. This move. So this move you can link off of a few things, especially this. However, you just try bounce cancelling, doesn't work. Why? Because you have to take a micro walk forward. You have to take an incredibly small step forward, and I do apologize if I dropped this a few times. Again, for the results you get, Blue Beetle's execution is very high, probably one of the highest in the game. 228 damage, that's all you get for a combo that is incredibly tricky to pull off and costs 1 meter. At this point you might as well just like not combo with him, except doing stuff like this, and you're better off just kind of like chipping away at the enemy's HP. So yeah, this move, I still kind of don't know what exactly you're supposed to accomplish. The biggest problem is that this string is one of Blue Beetle's best. It's a meterless launcher, it combos into itself and all that. However, the problem is the scaling on this move is incredibly high. If you don't know, this game works with scaling combos. Different moves have different combo scalings, but the scaling on this is absolutely insane. No matter what you do, even getting this, like as you can see, that's 168 damage, and when I meter burned it and did the bounce cancel and the ender and everything, I did 228, so the damage is incredibly low. Other problem with this string, it is unsafe. I think, I'm not exactly sure what the frame data on it is. It's -14. He has basically one decent mid because his other mid is this. He also has these ones, but the problem with these ones is you can't actually combo off of them. You can do things like that or things like this. I'm fairly sure you can. Yeah, you can, but again, that's a mid, but his best mid, I mean this is forward advancing, it launches and all that, is unsafe unless you do this, but this is basically unhit confirmable, so you're always gonna, if you want to combo, you're gonna be putting yourself at risk. The other problem with Blue Beetle is that it is incredibly difficult to corner an opponent with him, because as you can see, everything side switches. That side switches. If I can just do this. This side switches. Everything side switches. So putting your opponent in the corner where Blue Beetle is actually decent is very difficult. Also, gotta mention that most of his combo starters are actually highs, and they can be ducked. So basically anyone who's kind of happy, not even mashing, but they're a little bit sweep happy, you're gonna be having a lot of hard times starting your combos. In fact, we gotta talk about this string. This string, the 111. This isn't actually a true mid. I think if I record the AI to... how should I do this? Now, you know what? I would have to switch, but I'm gonna try. This string isn't actually a true mid. If you don't know, a true mid refers to a string where if it says mid, when you hit your opponent with it, it actually is a mid. This string is not that. I'm not sure if Black Adam can do it, but I know for a fact, see, I can, if I time it right, I can hit the opponent out of it. Not only I think is there a gap, but again, I'm basically low profiling what Blue Beetle is doing. So arguably his best string, the one that you're going to be using all the time, is not that good because you basically have to cut it short at the second hit. if you want it to actually be a mid. I got fucked up by a Black Canary so much yesterday because they just kept using the sweep. Black Canary has an amazing sweep, and it just completely screwed me over. Finally, I've talked about this before, but the trait that Blue Beetle has is not very good. First things first, you lose access to your zoning, one of your most important abilities. The other problem, you do not actually get a damage increase. The only thing that changes in terms of damage is this, your combo ender. And of course, if you switch to blade mode, you actually lose out on your main BMB, which is of course this. Oops. Again, this is very tricky to do. Come on. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is, if you switch to blade mode, you're losing out on this. So basically the damage kind of evens out. So 90% of the time you might as well not switch to blade mode. The other thing, it switches the hitbox of the sweep. It's very good, the hitbox, but again, the benefits are definitely not worth the offsets. So finally we're gonna talk about how I think Blue Beetle could be improved. First things first, we don't want to overbuff him. In many areas, Blue Beetle is good. He just needs that little bit of an extra push. First things first, this needs to be an actual mid. You gotta be able to use the best string he has available without basically being penalized for using it. This has gotta be a true mid, non-low profilable. The other thing he needs is, for him to have a decent mid, this needs to be safe. I think if this was made safe, it wouldn't be too broken because, you know, it can be blocked. Definitely shouldn't be plus, but if this was made safe, I mean, if they made Supergirl's back 1-2 safe, there is no reason they couldn't make this safe. I think that would be great because he could actually have a decent poke that he could stick out instead of constantly being afraid, and at this point, basically your best poke is your sweep. So I think that string should definitely be improved. And finally, again, I've talked about this before, but the blade mode. There's gotta be some benefit for using blade mode. I'm thinking maybe increased damage. Not like a huge increase, but a tiny bit of damage increase would be really, really good if you could get it. Because then there would actually be a reason to switch to blade mode. The other thing people have suggested is to make the switch faster, where you could start with something like this, and switch to blade mode fast enough and still continue your combo. That would be really good because it could increase Blue Beetle's combo potential and actually give him access to some type of combo mechanics, because this is literally the most easy combo in the game. You are literally pressing just square. So square, square, square. Even this move is a square, and then square, square, square again. You have to press X at the end, and that's it. Finally, the final change I would make is I would get rid of the micro step for this move. Maybe increase the damage a bit, but if you're in blade mode and you are already getting the increased damage, I think it would be fine. But again, definitely get rid of the micro walk, because there is no reason a simple character and a low damage character like this should have combos that are that kind of complicated to pull off. I mean, this game isn't that execution heavy in general, but still, compared to like many other characters, like Superman literally has to use one string and he can get massive damage, while Blue Beetle struggles. He just struggles a lot. And that's the thing, like, I love playing this character, but I find myself struggling in so many situations that I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna switch to Captain Cold because it's not even worth it. And that's something I would really like to change, because again, this is, I think, a great addition to Injustice 2. He's a fun character, just has to be a little bit better. Again, I'm not saying he should receive the Supergirl treatment, but unlike Supergirl, I think this character actually needs some serious boss. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and again, don't take this as a bitching video. Again, I'm a fan of this character. I do not like just make these to complain. It's just I want everyone to be kind of balanced out and viable, because even though you can win matches with Blue Beetle, he is definitely not viable in certain matchups, and you want to have a game where everyone has kind of equal footing. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.